Hi, in this video I'm going to review this fantastic book, Art of Possibility by Benjamin Zander and Rosamund Zander. This book is about creativity. One word, creativity. How to be creative, how to solve difficult problems that we face in our life, how to be aware and how to be present to every tough situation that life throws at us. There's so many things happening. Right now as I'm making this video, there's a pandemic. People are stuck at home for not weeks, not months, but more than half a year. People are adapting to so many different challenges, a lot of people losing jobs. So the situation is changing. There's a lot of negativity, there's a lot of gloom, there's a lot of things that you can think about doesn't feel good. And in all of this, how do we stay upbeat? How do we stay positive? How do we stay creative? This book is all about creativity. It's all about problem solving. It's all about how do we make the best out of every situation possible. So let's get into it. There are 12 chapters, and each of these chapters are practices. And so every chapter has something practical that you can use right away. So the very first, it's all invented. It's all invented. Where? In our mind. Everything that we see in this world is a story that we tell ourselves. When I see this thing, I say this is a book. When I see this thing, I say this is a pen, right? And so we've learned to interpret things in our life. And even situations, when you get promoted, you say, oh, I did well. When you don't get promoted, you say, oh, I didn't do well, right? Everything is an interpretation. Everything is an interpretation in the mind. And we invent it. We tell ourselves the stories that we have programmed through various situations in our life. We have grown up in certain culture, so that programs the story that we tell ourselves. We have grown up evolution-wise, and so that the survival instinct is strong. So there's a lot of instincts that are developed in ourselves that tell us the story. When certain things outside happens, we tell ourselves a story. So remembering this, we need to evolve ourselves, right? Because everything that we may see may not be true. The story that we may tell ourselves may not be true. Remember when there was a time when Earth was considered flat. That was the story people told themselves, hey, it's flat, right? And then we found out that there was theories, that there was discoveries that, we went outside of Earth and we could see it was not flat. So situations, stories that we tell ourselves are true for that period of time. And when we evolve our understanding, we can see many more things. It's like when you're on ground floor, you can see certain number of things, but when you go to the 50th floor of that building, you can see so many more things. So changing the story, changing the narrative is something that's absolutely not controlled. So we need to ask ourselves, what is the story that we are telling ourselves when we face, let's say, a situation that's difficult? Are we telling the story that's really empowering us, or are we telling the story that's just pushing us down, down, down? If we tell ourselves the story that continuously internally pushes us down, there's no force outside that's worse. We become our worst enemy. So remembering that it's all invented, let us invent a better future. Let us invent to see the possibilities that are positive and tell ourselves that story. Let us invent that story. So that was moving away from pure survival instincts and all of the stories that we've come up with to a better story. Second, step into the universe of possibility. We are conditioned to have measurements. If I make certain amount of money, then I'm successful. If I have this, and this by this time, I'm successful. Or if this happens in this way, then it's good. If it doesn't happen this way, then it's not good. So there's like a limitation, a boundary that we draw for everything. It's like the story situation. But there's always a better way to look at it. So when we invent a better story, let us look at it from the lens of creativity. Let us look at it from the ways of possibilities. What are the other possibilities that I'm missing? Ask yourself every single time when you're trying to write a better story, What better opportunities are there that I'm missing? What can I envision as the possibility? What is the optimism that I'm missing in this whole situation? So moving away from, finite and a world where it's full of you feel dejected, you're not fully participating. You want to put yourself in that story, you want to put yourself in that optimism so that you can actually participate joyfully, right? So that is with the strong understanding that, hey, the universe might have more things to offer than what I may imagine. So open up yourself to that possibility. Open up yourself every single day when you wake up, open up to that possibility. Number 3, giving an A. Giving an A. Give yourself an A. A grade is like the top grade, right? So for everything, give yourself the A grade first and give the people around you an A grade, even before the task has happened. What happens by that? You elevate them. You already respect them with the honor of an A grade student. When you do that, when you treat someone with respect, when you see in them the end destiny of where they're going, the sculpture that they are trying to build, the potential that they have, when you do that, when you give someone that respect, and when you keep that end in mind, you will treat them well, and they'll come out with really good possibilities. They'll come out with new things because now they have been treated well. So giving yourself an A, it's quite important. When you give yourself an A, you do your best. When you give someone else an A and you treat them that way, you behave with them that way, they come out with a better creative solution for you. Instead of thinking of where they are today, think about where they will get to, because they're constantly working. You should be able to see that statue that they are trying to carve out of that rock. You should be able to see that, right? And finally, there was this really good example in the book, which was 2 marketers were sent to Africa from United States because they wanted to expand their business in Africa. And this company was a shoe making company. And they had saturated the United States market and they were trying to expand. So these 2 marketers were sent there to explore, like, how can we expand? One of the marketers responded, "Situation hopeless. Stop. There's no one here that has shoes. No one's gonna wear shoes here. Stop, stop, stop. No one wears shoes." The second marketeer replied, "Glorious business opportunity. We can sell shoes to everyone." What just happened? This person was operating from the possibility. He was seeing the mindset. The story that he said was very different. The other marketeer's story was hopeless. This marketeer's story was of a grand vision. So this happens when you give yourself an A. When you give yourself the opportunity to expand you, when you give yourself the opportunity to see the possibility, when you give yourself the opportunity to invent a better story, to visualize what is possible. And that happens when you do this consciously. Number 4, being a contribution. Every day when we wake up, let's be very thankful for the fact that we woke up. And let's resolve one thing. How can I be a contribution today? What can I do to help? How can I give my gift that I have, my personality, my skill sets, my time, my energy, to this piece of work that I'm doing? How can I be a contribution? When you think of that as the lens, then all of a sudden you do your best work. You know why? Because you no longer are important. You are now at the service of the piece of work that you're trying to do. How can you cultivate that? Even when you give a presentation, if you're trying to give a presentation thinking that you're going to give the best presentation and then it's all about you, how good you are, then you'll probably have a lot of anxiety attack. But if you think about the content, that you're trying to respect, if you're keeping that essence in mind, or the piece of work, the mission for which you're working as important, then you're no longer in the picture. You're no longer worried about how people will see and feel about you, or that anxiety. Then you will do your best work. So being a contribution is when you wake up every single day saying, hey, what am I going to do the best work? And why is that work important? Why is that thing that I'm pursuing important? Versus me, myself, and my glory. It's important to have a drive in terms of what you want, But then remember, you can do your peak performance when you forget about the past, forget about the future. You're not anxious about what's going to come. You're not worried about the past. You're just in the moment. If you're giving a presentation, you're doing it really well. If you're doing this video, you're doing it really well. You're doing it for the millions of people that will watch, get inspiration. You're doing it with that energy. You're doing it with that energy. So be a contribution. And just think about what is that next barrier that I'm going to just attack today. I'm going to just crush it. And that is more important. So being a contribution. Number 5, leading from any chair. As leaders, the more power you are willing to grant to your employees, the more you amplify their potential, the better it is for everyone. So as leaders, we need to constantly think, how can we lead from any chair? Not just as the lead or the voice for the team, but also amplify your team members. Get them to participate. Get them to be involved. Figure out ways in which you solve the problem together. All of this is creative problem solving. How do we do the best work? By thinking about contribution, putting your mindset in the right way, getting people involved, right? Amplify people. And leading from any chair is basically bringing out that greatness in others. In your family, in your workplace, if everyone around you is doing great work, then you're going to be able to solve all the hard problems. All creative problems will be solved. So think about how can you consciously amplify, bring the greatness of people around you. So lead from any chair, not just as a leader leading and doing your best, but amplifying others. Make them do the best work. This is the best rule. Rule number 6. Remember, all of these are catchphrases, right? It's very easy to remember. It's all invented. I'll be a contribution. Rule number 6, right? Rule number 6 is don't take yourself so damn seriously. You remember that line from the movie Joker? It's not the Joker movie, it's the Batman movie. When the Joker says, "Why so serious?" Remember? So, see, humor is important in life. You can't take yourself so damn seriously that you're just constantly stressed out. Even if you have to do something really important. If you're peaceful, if you're quiet, and if you are not quiet, if you're peaceful, if you're stable, and if you have that sense of humor, people around you want to be around you, right? They don't want to be around someone who's like so stressed. It's like, hey, what's work? What's happening? Why did it not happen? And all of that, right? It's stressful to be around someone who's stressful. So figure out how can you be calm? How can you have that sense of humor? How can you not take yourself so seriously? So this is rule number 6. Anytime you see someone very serious and just tell them, hey, you forgot rule number 6, and then they'll remember, right? These are catchphrases. It's all invented. Rule number 6, giving an A, being a contribution, leading from any chair. When we remember these catchphrases, we can practice them regularly. We can use it. We can talk about it more. And remember, if you get really good, but if the people around you don't get really good, you're going to be messed up. So you want to help empower, lead, and influence other people around you as well, so that they can get better too. And so now you can feed off of them, they can feed off of you, and together the whole community is lifted. Rule number 6, peel that onion, reveal yourself, be a little bit vulnerable, humor, make the situation light, so that everyone's having fun. It's not tensed. You want to do great work, you want to do it in the calm, peaceful, not stressful situation. Number 7, the way things are. Right? If we accept the way things are, then we have the power to move forward. If we just constantly complain, hey, this is not good, this life is so, this is why is this happening to me, and why is this didn't happen? And then if you constantly amplify that using the power of your thought, remember, you with your thought can amplify anything. And so if your focus is on something that's not working, something that you're not happy about, then that's not gonna just stay. It's actually gonna get bigger. In your mind, your story is getting louder. It's amplified. Starve that thing. Look at what's going so well. Because when you don't, you get into this negative spiral. The thing that's not working, that will make you tip over the other thing that was actually working a little bit, but now because of your attitude, you're gonna kill that other thing too. You're just gonna destroy every positive situation in life. So remember to catch yourself by not going into this downward spiral, but not amplifying, not really giving energy to what you don't want, but focusing all of that energy on what you do want, the better world. Focusing on that pro movement is very, very important. The best way to challenge status quo is to use your energy for something constructive. Accept, move forward. That way you are focusing on what you can influence and not focusing on what you're concerned about. Because when your sphere of influence increases, what you're concerned about automatically will be taken care of. So very important to detect that you're in this downward spiral and open up the possibilities of what's working so well, how am I grateful for it, how am I going to make this even better, not just for myself, but for the whole world, for my team, for my family, for my nation, for my city. Expand it, expand your horizon so that the impact will be so bigger, and every time you make those big contributions, make no mistake, it'll come back to you 10 times. If I'm making this video, I'm 100% confident that it's going to reach at least 10x more number of people that I have imagined in my wildest dream. I'm going to make my effort as if millions of people are going to watch this. Although I have 1,000+ people watching, I'm going to make that best effort because I envision that better world. I'm going to open up myself from the possibility and not catch myself from not going through that negative spiral. It's a very important tactic. Number 8, giving way to passion. Giving way to passion. How do we dance through this life? Have you seen the river, the water gushing through the river from the mountains? Is it like, flowing in like anxiety? Is it flowing through like, hey, what will happen? What's my identity? Where am I? It's actually just dancing through the mountain slopes. It's just living life. It's actually dissolved its identity and it's just flowing. And we discover what we like to do and we give the full energy to it, we will flow, we will dance. And that's what giving to passion is. Right? Our energy will come out, our creativity will go up. So figure out what you like to do, give it time, have the vision for what that is, give it the time, persist with it, and stay on with it. And you will quickly realize that, hey, certain things you really like to do. And when you do that and you do that so well, you get appreciations for it, but you also, just the journey becomes so good. Like that river, the journey becomes so good. So giving way to passion. Dare to let go and try out new things and flow like the river, dance through the life. Number 9, lightening a spark. Imagine you could, in a secret pocket, carry that spark that you could use to light up anyone's fire, that you could use to light up someone's passion. Because it's hard. It's hard to, first identify a passion. You don't even know, like, what is my passion? It's hard. It takes time. Even right now, I'm still figuring it out, to be honest. But I have some hint. I can see that light. So, hey, this looks interesting. So people, it's very hard to find out what the passion is. But if you can see it, and if you can kindle it with the spark that you have, and if their fire is lit, imagine the joy. Their whole life is going to be changed. So light someone's spark, right? Carry that spark and light their fire is how I would say this chapter. There's gloom all around, negativity. If you start to see one YouTube video that's something negative, you're gonna spend the whole day seeing all kinds of different things around that situation, but different negative situations, and you will go in that downward spiral throughout. You've got to catch yourself. And most importantly, as leaders, each and every one of us is leaders. It doesn't matter if you're a software engineer, if you're a designer, if you're a product manager, if you're a housewife or whatever, you're all leaders. We are all leaders. It's an important thing for each one of us to catch the downward spiral and most importantly, to inspire, right? That there is something positive out there. You need to have a vision, the story. Remember the story? Once we have a better story, we need to inspire that. We need to inspire with that hope of what that better future looks like. Because people want it. There's desperation today on how can we be better, how better future is ahead of us. So as leaders, it's our responsibility to show the light of what that better future looks like with that deep conviction, by being truly convinced in your thought, in your energy, in your feeling, and actually sharing that spark. Number 10, being the board. Being the board. By being the board, you are responsible. You take ownership. You stop blaming. You stop judgment. When you create a situation, when you're not blaming others and you're not judging them, when you move away from, how bad a character of a person is to how bad, the action was, to actually just fixing on building the relationship, then you're onto a different lens of possibility. You are into the possibility of being that chessboard and not the pawn. You can now get creative. You can think about the whole situation. You can stop blaming. You can take ownership. You can change the board. You have now control. So be the board. Expand your vision. Take ownership. Once you take ownership of where you are in your situation, you have a chance to improve it. But if you condition yourself and if you blame others, the creativity will stop. So be the board. Creating framework of possibility. Creating a framework for possibility. People want vision. They don't want something that's monotonous. Machines can do that. So as leaders, it's our responsibility to break this monotone and inspire people with a vision that uplifts and brings everyone into the fold to contribute. Everyone's really looking for a contribution. Give them an A. Get them into the possibility of contribution. And when you get everyone involved, you're going to be able to solve hard problems. Creativity will come out. You would have gone beyond the narrow shackles of measurement into an opportunity of possibility outside. Unite people with the vision, the context. Tell the we story. Tell the we story. This is the final chapter, final practice. Things that divide us, like you conversation, I conversation, I think this is important, you think that's important, versus the we conversation, the us conversation. That's important. When you unite people, creative problems are solved. Think about this. In my body, let's say my bone here was broken. If my bone is broken here, the entire body is single-handedly focused on fixing that bone. The calcium, the nutrients, everything goes towards fixing that bone because it thinks about it as one unit. It thinks about the body is one at that point. Similarly, when we move away from this I and you, and we think about how we can solve the problem together, many things come into our experience, many opportunities, many ideas come to us which never existed before. So think about going beyond yourself. Think about it as the we conversation. Tell the we story. How do we solve this problem together? How do we want to see this world? How do we want to perceive this to be solved in a better way? Talk about the we. Unite people with that context. So we covered 12 different practices. This book is about practices. Each of this is a catchphrase. It's all united. The story, it's the step into the universe of possibility, no longer finiteness. Giving an A. Respect and see the end today. Being a contribution. Wake up with that feeling. I'm going to solve something. Leading from any chair, amplify the greatness of others. Rule number 6, why so serious? Humor, right? Have humor, incorporate humor. Be vulnerable. That's the way things are. Accept, move forward, catch yourself from the downward spiral. Giving way to passion. Dance away. Dance away to the life. There's lots of energy in you. Think about the river gushing through to the destination. Happily, joyously. lightning a spark, inspire others with the energy that you have. And now they start inspiring, the world just becomes better and better. Being the board, stop blaming, no judgment. This is just no time to hand out. It just divides people. Just get together, work together, take ownership, move on. Creating the framework of possibility, no longer monotone. Have a vision of where you're going, inspire, and remove this gloomness that's existing, very prevalent. Tell the V story, like the broken bone, everything unites. These are practices. Use this regularly. It's hard. It's hard to use them regularly unless you repeat them. Maybe take one practice a week and then just make it. Share it with someone. Tell your story. Right? So it gets us from hopelessness to gloriousness. Right? We go from hopeless, remember that marketeer's example, situation hopeless, to glorious business opportunity. Right? Invent. And when you do that, you sparkle the eyes. You can see it in the people's eyes. If people around you are not, their eyes are not sparkling, you're doing something terrible. You just ask yourself a question like, what am I doing? Am I not giving them an A? Right? Think about your contribution and be grateful. Grant and amplify the spark that's out there. These are great practices. I really, really like this book. I highly encourage reading this. You can't really read this in one go because it really takes a lot of time to digest it. I hope this will be helpful to summarize this if you've already read the book. If not, read the book because this video doesn't do full justice. Read the book. Good luck. Thanks.